I came home and caught my mother-in-law giving my son alcohol in his sippy cup, saying, "This will make you strong." The smell hit me before I even saw what was happening. I'd come home early from the warehouse, walking through my front door to find my mother-in-law Diane in the kitchen with my 3-year-old son Finn. She had him on her lap, his blue sippy cup pressed against his mouth, and she was whispering something to him. Finn was crying, not tantrum crying, scared crying. His little hands were pushing against her arms, but she held him firm, tilting the cup higher. I stood there frozen because my brain couldn't process what my eyes were seeing. My mother-in-law was feeding my 3-year-old son whiskey from his sippy cup at 2:15 on a Wednesday afternoon in my kitchen. She looked up, saw me standing there, and she smiled. Didn't stop what she was doing, didn't pull the cup away or look guilty, just kept holding it against Finn's mouth while making direct eye contact with me and said, "This will make you strong," like Grandpa was. Her voice was calm, proud even, like she was giving him medicine, and I'd walked in during a perfectly normal moment of caregiving. I couldn't move, couldn't speak. My body had disconnected from my brain, and all I could do was stand there watching my mother-in-law poison my son while smiling at me. Then Finn made this sound, this awful choking whimper that snapped me back. I lunged forward and ripped him from her arms. He grabbed onto my shirt and buried his face in my neck, and I could smell the alcohol on his breath, strong enough that my eyes watered. How much had she given him? How long had this been going on? Diane stood up slowly and brushed off her pants like nothing was wrong. She picked up the sippy cup from the table and held it up to show me. "Only 2 ounces today," she said. "We're building up his tolerance properly." I asked her what the hell she was talking about, and she sighed like I was a slow student who needed extra explanation. She said she'd been giving Finn small amounts of whiskey every Wednesday for the past 6 weeks. Started with just a few drops mixed in apple juice to get him used to the taste. Now she was up to 2 ounces of straight whiskey because his system was adapting. She'd been following a very specific protocol, very scientific, very traditional. My family used to do this with boys to make them strong and resilient. Her father had done it with her brothers, and they'd all turned out successful. Finn was weak, always getting sick, always crying. The whiskey was fixing that, teaching his body to be tough. I stared at her and my hands were shaking so hard I thought I might drop Finn. 6 weeks. Every single Wednesday when I left for work and trusted her to watch him. She'd been poisoning him and documenting it like a science experiment. I looked at Finn in my arms, really looked at him. His skin had this grayish tint I'd been telling myself was just winter paleness. His eyes were unfocused and glassy. He'd lost weight. I could feel his ribs through his shirt when I held him. He'd been throwing up constantly for weeks. We'd taken him to the pediatrician twice thinking it was a stomach virus. The doctor had said it was probably something going around. Just keep him hydrated and he'd get better. It wasn't a virus. It was alcohol poisoning. My mother-in-law had been systematically poisoning my son, and we'd been taking him to doctors who told us it was normal childhood illness. Diane was still talking, explaining her methods like she was giving me a recipe. She said modern parents were too soft, too afraid of letting children experience discomfort. That's why this generation was weak. Her generation understood that you had to harden children early, build their tolerance to pain and sickness and discomfort. The whiskey was just the first step. There were other traditional methods she'd planned to introduce once his alcohol tolerance was established. She said it so casually, like there was a whole curriculum of abuse she'd mapped out for my son. I told her I was calling 911 and she laughed, actually laughed. Then she pulled out her phone and held it up to show me her screen. And what happened next changed everything. Full story is linked below or on my channel.